So you
questions are all hypothetical or rhetorical. They need not require an answer. Because I know that any answer will be false. This man is the most false person I've ever met in 95 years. So they're rhetorical. When you spoke to a witness in this room and said, as far as I'm concerned, Russo doesn't exist anymore, and anybody that talks to Mr. Russo will talk to me, and that you are, in fact, Mr. Russo.
Another question.
Sure.
He had, Your Honor, was specific to the justification for not having him put in free care at a veterans facility, as he was eligible, and Mr. Broadmeyer had his military discharge papers.
Who is going to pay a temporary bill, mind you, a part bill of $39,000 or whatever, now that I'm penniless because he took every penny I ever earned?
So these are matters that he's looking for answers to. Sure. Now, whether this would come up in the next hearing when more of the accounting is gone more deeply into, but really we're all just trying to understand why he has an outstanding medical bill at Pope John Paul when he should have received free care all along.
Free care all along. And every attempt for the administrator of John Paul's and my attorney, Fay, met dead end. It hit a stone wall. What did Broadmeyer say? No answer. 9 months later, my attorney says, pleaded with me not to have charges pressed against her for malfeasance because she's running for office. I'll do that if you tell me what Broadmeyer said to you when you asked to put me in a veterans hospital where it wouldn't cost me a penny for the service I put for this country. Why do I run into a guy like this?
Okay.
I know the reason if you want to know. At my age of 95, he's 12. He assumed I was a dead pigeon for him, and he was going to pluck me clean like a carcass on the desert floor. And he proceeded to do that from the very start, where he had 3/4 of the roof shingled, and he tore them all off, knowing that he wasn't going to pay a penny for it, and that my estate would pay for it. And then when asked the question, why didn't you put Mr. Russo in a veterans hospital with my honorable discharge in his hand and a special certificate that says I could go to any veterans hospital in the States, all I had to do was provide my own transportation. Why did he say, oh, I was afraid Russo might check himself out?
There's also a question, Your Honor, that he had with regard to who authorized and ordered his transfer from Pope John Paul to Masonic-Care, where he has continually stated that he was assaulted.
Masonic-Care is a prison for prisoners that they can't handle for one reason and whom they haven't drugged. They drug you to keep you quiet. And I spent 8 days and I thought of that man every single hour.
We're trying to get the answer on who ordered that transfer. Because we're pretty certain it wasn't approved through Your Honor or applied.
It was the administrator of John Paul's and the social worker that sits in that office that has 3 separate cubicles.
And I believe they are on the phone also, the attorney for Pope John Paul. Is she still?
Yes, I am. I'm just trying to understand the question and give Mr. Russo a chance to finish his sentence.
The question Mr. Russo has is specific to his transfer to Masonic-Care. Who authorized it and why?
And what's the reason?
Yeah, I mean that.
Excuse me,
that would be something we would have to find out.
Right. So that's,
you don't have to look at anything. It was a verbal comment.
Okay, so that's right. Attorney Judge Kowski, these were just questions that were being put out there so that when we get to the final accounting and the next hearing, that if those issues were not answered suitably, then those would be addressed at that point in time.
Understood.
Is there any other question or issue?
Yes, why was Broadmeyer up at the hospital at 6 in the morning when they told him that I laid on the floor of the bathroom for 3.5 hours, unconscious, mind you. And I woke up in the ambulance 3.5 hours, and when he came in the hospital, he's there stunned that I was still living. They told him I was dead, on the verge of death. With a loss of blood, the blood loaded with blood, mine. In an institution in which he kept me for 1.5 years. Any attempt to contact him or get a response from the administrator or my attorney failed. They spoke to him as if to say, he's my patient, leave him alone.
And there was an issue that has continually come up in conversation with Mr. Russo. Mr. Russo is trying to figure out why what 20 volunteers did in 3 weeks could not have been done the 17 months prior, which was to get him back to his home.
The answer he gave in this courtroom, and everybody understood it, is why did it take, he never answered, why did it take you 14 months for a cosmetic item of cleaning up the yard or something like that? And he said, oh, I don't have enough money. I may have to sell his house. These are rhetorical questions. He doesn't have to answer them because I don't want to listen to lies.
Este